getting a kick for goal off a 40-20, that would put a premium on precision kicking at the end of games.
Yeah, wouldn't potentially.
It? That's if you've got a tie game, and I like that as an idea.
Yeah, so that's all the feedback and shout-outs. We've got one more thing to talk about, though, before we move into the news, which we've been getting a bit of feedback about, but we haven't officially launched it through
the
talking
podcast.
about it on the podcast. So,
no.
Tom, why don't you talk about your blog and your frankly insane idea of destroying your body in the next 10 months or so?
Well, I felt like I'll get to that in a minute, because the blog that we put up was spawned out of you and I discussing towards the back end of last season and the early part of this how we were going to deal with the signing of convicted spousal abuser Robert Louis when he came to join the Salford Red Devils. Now, initially, you and I made the idea that we would just not give him the oxygen of publicity. We wouldn't mention him no matter how well he played, even if he wouldn't have had a steal. We would just ignore him. And I think we were relatively sort of satisfied with our little, stamping our feet and taking a stand against it. And then, I won't mention his name because he likes his anonymity, but a Salford fan got in touch with us over just after we'd done the season preview show, didn't he?
Yeah.
And sort of said, "Great show, lads. Don't know if you noticed, but Robert Louis, convicted spousal abuser Robert Louis, played quite well over pre-season." And I said, "Oh, well, we did notice, but we're not talking about it." And then some back and forth went on about, coverage and, letting, not bygones be bygones, but letting people who've, been punished for a crime be able to move on. And we had a big debate about it ourselves, to the point where I was feeling pretty conflicted about it and went on to write a blog about how we were going to handle it. Initially, that blog was just going to be about our refusal to acknowledge his existence and my reasons for why. But the more and more I looked into the things that he'd done and how kind of pervasive domestic abuse is in our society, the more I kind of felt not obliged, but like motivated to do something that would be more positive than just ignore this guy and try and turn it into something that could be a force for good, rather than just letting something horrible create kind of bitterness and just this resented feeling that I was starting to feel. And I did a lot of research into kind of some of the statistics on domestic abuse in Great Britain, and it was astounding, really. I would it's something like 2.4 million people a year, men and women, are the victims of some form of domestic abuse in this country.
There's a link in your blog to a website that gives some...
Yeah, absolutely.
Flashes out this information quite
that's
well.
Right, yeah. The other thing that got to me was how difficult it is for people to get support for it. It, on average, takes 5 attempts for someone to approach an authority or approach someone and say, "I'm suffering from this, I'm a victim of this," before they get adequate help. So that kind of upset me a little bit.
And that's after them having to battle with themselves to get to the point where they want to go and seek help. It's an awful thing to think of, that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started looking at the different charities that exist around this, and I discovered Refuge. Now, I had heard of Refuge before. They're a charity that provides sheltered accommodation for women and families of women and children who are from families where they've been made the victims of domestic violence and the different sorts of domestic abuse that exist. And what I've decided to do on the back of that is, rather than let this whole Salford halfback thing kind of be a cause for us just to call someone a rude name every week, is to actually do something good with it. So I've decided to do a couple of 10k runs, the first of which will be in Blackpool in July, and the second of which will be in September in Preston. And then also on the eve of the grand final, I'm going to cycle 200 kilometres in one sitting.
So is this going to be... This is what I wanted to ask you about.
Oh, it's on an exercise bike, mate. I'm not going out on the road. No, okay. So it'll be so that I can show people and, on the...
No, I just did wonder how you were going to go out.
My intention is to do it on an exercise bike. I'm going to try and find over the next probably give it a few weeks, and then I'm going to try and find somewhere that I might be able to do it publicly, either in a pub nearby or somewhere like that, and kind of make a thing about it and have buckets and get people to donate whilst it's happening. But we've also set up a Just Giving page, which details, first of all, it's got a copy of the blog on it. It's got a copy of my what I'm aiming to do, which is the 2 10Ks and this 200k cycle, and you can donate to Refuge Direct on the blog. Now, I've set myself an ambitious target for what I'd like to raise. I'd like to, over the course of the next 9 or so months, raised £2,000 for this cause, which I think is doable, but also a challenge as well in terms of making people from beyond the podcast aware of it. And also,
if everyone who'd read the blog so far had donated, I think about £15 each, then we would reach that target. So it isn't an unachievable target when you think if everyone who listens to this donates £3 or £4, everyone who follows on Twitter donates £1, we would get there.
We'd smash it. And these two, I mean, to a lot of our listeners are quite active, sporty people. I'm not as active as that. I used to play a lot of sport when I was younger, but I've kind of gone to seed a touch.
Even when you've played a lot of sport, an endurance effort like a 200k static cycle is a phenomenal thing for you to take on.
Yeah, exactly. So this represents
I'm a bit worried.
No, I'm looking forward to it though. This represents a big challenge for me.
Do I need to book the day off work so I can be there to,
Well, it'll be
drive you to hospital to get you on a drip.
You could yeah, maybe so. But I plan on training for it as well.
Are we going to get wheelchair seats at the grand final this year then?
No, we'll be fine. It'll go really well. Darren Garner has actually said he's going to give me some tips and stuff on like life in the saddle and things to help me get used to it. And it's not something I'll be doing cold. I'm going to do some preparatory work and some cycling before it to build up.
So we're going to build things about Dar and your saddle into Tom's pole.
Yeah, there's lots of opportunities there. But to get to the serious point, and we will move on from this because I appreciate it's a lot to take in, and it's a lot of charity stuff. People have an opportunity to donate to charities every single day. But this one kind of, I think, should strike to the core of a lot of us. I was looking on Twitter. 81% of our Twitter followers are men, okay? As a group, I feel like we have an opportunity now to kind of stand up collectively against domestic violence and say, I'm going to commit to donate this money, or I'm going to help raise awareness and what have you. If you feel inclined to donate, please go to www.justgiving.com/Super League Pod Stands Up. There'll be a copy of the blog there, and I'm going to start putting training updates in and things like that to keep it entertaining. But you can expect that over the next few months this is going to be something that comes up. I'm sure you'll take great pleasure in keeping an eye on me and seeing how I'm going.
I think it's
looking forward to it.
It's a real challenge that you've taken on, and I'm impressed with the stance that you're taking.
Well,
I'm keen to make sure all credit is put your way rather than a Super League pod.
So that closes the door to me inviting you to join me on one of the 10Ks or something.
I could possibly do the 10Ks. I can't imagine that I'm inclined to do the 200-kilometre static bike ride.
Well, we shall see. Anyway, so yes, you can find tell the nice people where the blog is on the Blogspot page, Mark.
Okay, so it's superleaguepod.blogspot.co.uk or .com.
Yep.
And it will be the top blog that you see, the most recent one. We won't be putting another one on for a while, so then it gets its full exposure.
Fantastic. And as I said, it's justgiving.com/Super League Pod Stands Up if you'd like to donate to this very worthwhile cause. Okay, let's take a look at news from around the world of rugby league. Okay, so we're only 6 days late, but the RFL...
It's alright, they can't really jump in with another story to make our podcast redundant on this topic, can
No,
they?
you should hope not. I'll tell you what, unless he finds a way to get... his name's gone. The player that follows him everywhere. Fullback, nuts.
Darius Boyd.
Unless he finds a way to just, finds an English relative of Darius Boyd's, then this pretty much is the end of the story, isn't it? But this week the RFL have confirmed that Australian coaching legend and legend Wayne Bennett is to become the New England head coach. He has agreed a 2-year deal that will take in the 2016 Four Nations and the 2017 World Cup. Bennett, who has a record 7 NRL Grand Final wins as a coach, will continue in his role as the head coach of the Brisbane Broncos. Speaking about his appointment, Bennett said, "I'm very excited by the challenge of taking England on to the next level. From what I have seen, I've been impressed by the ambition and energy demonstrated by the team, and I look forward to working with a group of players that I believe have what it takes to succeed on the international stage." Speaking following the announcement, RFL Chief Executive Nigel Wood said, "Wayne is quite rightly regarded as the outstanding coach of this generation, and I am delighted we've been able to secure his services. I believe that Wayne Bennett is undoubtedly the right man to lead this group forward. We'll be discussing with Wayne in due course the coaching support he will need, which we expect will be UK based." On departing coach Steve McNamara, Nigel Wood had this to say: "The RFL has concluded that with the 2016 Four Nations and 2017 World Cup on the horizon, now is the time to make any change to the England setup. Steve McNamara has been the longest serving national coach in our history, and it is undoubtedly the case that the national team and setup have moved on considerably under Steve's leadership. We would like to place on record our thanks to Steve McNamara for his considerable efforts over the years to both the England senior team and the underlying programme. He leaves with our very best wishes and on a high after a series win over New Zealand."
Moved on, not forward, I think.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's remarkable that McNamara was the longest serving national coach we've had. It doesn't say England coach, it says national coach, so I don't know if that incorporates Great Britain coaches. I'm trying to think of any off the top of my head. McNamara's been in situ for what, 7 years was he the coach for? Something like that?
No, a bit less than that. We haven't known each other 7 years, and it happened when we met. It might be about 5.5, 6.
Yeah.
At the longest stretch, but still, it's some achievement for McNamara to be able to say that, isn't it?
Definitely.
Do you agree that we've moved on significantly under Steve McNamara, or do you think he was just in the right place at the right time in terms of inheriting a bit of a golden generation? Admittedly, in the house we've not been as strong as
we haven't won anything other than a home series against a New Zealand side that admittedly were ranked number 1 in the world, but similarly were without their first 3 or 4 choice halfbacks, and putting some new pieces together there. I don't think we moved on under McNamara, and I think we really need to see. But things were starting to seem like they were fitting into place. I think that's the problem with it. I don't think we're in any better position than we were when he took over necessarily.
Yeah.
But there was reason for optimism. I think there's always been reason for optimism.
Yeah.
He's been the main reason for not having optimism for the first 4 years, let's say, of his time. But the reason for optimisms that exist, I don't think will be damaged by Steve McNamara not being in the role anymore. I think we have to treat it as a cautionary tale, the whole McNamara journey, if I'm completely honest. Because he came in under sort of the guidance and mentorship of Tony Smith, who was meant to be, the super coach, and this guy was going to come in as a young British coach under a foreign super coach who, became English halfway through his doing his job or what have you. But basically that was the story, and now everyone's sort of thinking someone else has to come in under Wayne Bennett and a Sean Wayne or a McDermott or whoever you will to do the same thing and carry on that continuity. I don't necessarily know if I buy into that after the McNamara experience.
I think it would depend on who that person was, and the two people that I would have liked to have seen who are English are actually in gainful employment at the moment anyway. So
Powell and Wayne.
Yeah.
So what about Rowley?
Well, I mean, I sort of jokingly alluded to this last week. Honestly, I think he probably needs to prove himself at the highest level as a coach, or at least perform in Super League.
I just think I think they need to bring in people who can embed the Wayne Bennett culture, philosophy, whatever you call it nowadays, but certainly keep the team unity together under the Wayne Bennett leadership there, whilst Wayne Bennett is doing his main priority, which he's reiterated in his press statements that it's his main priority, which is a disappointment, but obviously an expected thing to happen. That's the only issue I can possibly find about the Wayne Bennett appointment. But basically, I don't think we need to bring in someone for Bennett to groom as his replacement. I think we need to bring in people who can make the Wayne Bennett coaching period a success.
Yeah.
So I want people who aren't in another job or who can dedicate the time and resource on helping Wayne Bennett understand the players and helping the players understand what Wayne Bennett expects from them from the other side of the world to the 2/3 of the squad that will be playing in Super League. The third of the squad that will be playing in the NRL will also need someone because only potentially one of them plays at Brisbane. So the rest of them don't play in Queensland.
No, that's true.
So we'll see. Certainly, it was one that got a lot of conversation going though on the old social media. But what do you think? Sorry, before we go to that, you just told us the story, didn't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I want to reserve. I'd love to get excited about it because he's achieved such a large amount in rugby league internationally as well with New Zealand and represent. You know, he has achieved more than I think anyone will for a very, very long time. But first of all, I don't pick up any enthusiasm from him. Now, that's his style anyway when he talks to the press. I don't feel the passion, but Wayne Bennett is a